What we found is that the higher the arrogance, the lower the job performance. And that's even the higher the self-arrogance. Even the self-ratings are negatively correlated with job performance. The higher you rate yourself on these items, the lower your job performance is. So once we found that we found this relationship between arrogance and job performance, the second thing we looked at was, because you hear this all the time, you say, well, this individual is arrogant because they're so bright. They're so intelligent. So I thought to myself, well, that's an empirical question. Is that really true? So I persuaded this one organization to allow me to not only give the 360 and embed the arrogance in it, but also could persuade them to allow me to give an intelligence test, cognitive ability test. And it was only 40. It was only a sample size of 40, but it was counterintuitive. The higher the arrogance, the lower the intelligence. So that intrigued me. And so then we decided we weren't going to get a major publication with a sample size of 40 people, so I knew we had to go. So we went out and got between 300 and 400 individuals. And then, because I was convinced it wasn't going to hold up. And my research assistant, who was in the psychology department at the University of South Florida at the time, said, no, I'm telling you it's going to hold up, it's going to hold up. Well, sure enough, it did. The higher the arrogance, the lower the intelligence. So now we're saying higher the arrogance, the lower job performance, higher the arrogance, lower intelligence. Why? Well, it's probably being used as a cover. So the next study we looked at was the relationship between arrogance and self-esteem. And sure enough, not surprisingly, because we hypothesize it, but the higher the arrogance, the lower the self-esteem. So what it becomes almost is this cover. That I'm feeling inadequate, and now I don't want to hear negative criticism from you because I'm feeling inadequate enough as it is, so I'm always blowing myself, making myself feel better, not listening to you. I know better than anybody else in any given situation. I'm covering. Oftentimes employees leave organizations not for the organization, not for the job. They leave for the particular boss that they're working for. So there's no question. And the higher the job satisfaction, the greater your chance of staying. The lower job satisfaction, the greater turnover. So there's no question those things are related to one another. And which is another reason why organizations need to be paying attention to this. I mean, Time Magazine had a great line a couple years ago called, "Are we living in the age of arrogance?" And we are. In many ways, we are living in the age of arrogance because folks have been almost been reinforced for it, so they think. And it's hurting organizations and it's hurting individual careers. Everybody would say, no, I want to work for somebody who's self-confident. And you do. And you want people to be self-confident. But once your perception is that they've crossed a line between self-confidence and now they become arrogant, which is much overly self-confident, and now you're putting other people down, now their total perceptions have changed of you. You've gone from you want your boss to be self-confident. You want folks you work with to be self-confident. But once you think they're arrogant, now everything changes. Once your perception is that they're arrogant, now you no longer want to work for them. You don't want them to be successful. You don't want them to get ahead, and you feel they're incompetent. Yeah. And oftentimes, these folks are what I call incompetent and unaware. Because the mere fact that they are arrogant, they think they're doing the right thing. So they're unaware that they're incompetent, that they're actually being less successful because they don't get the feedback. So what I'm saying, we need to give people feedback in order to get them to change. They're never going to change. We looked at humility. Not surprisingly, the higher the arrogance, the lower the humility. And the founder of Panasonic in Japan, who just died a couple years ago. But he would embed humility into the culture of the corporation. He would literally teach people to be humble because he felt that that's important to success. Yet in this country, when we think of humble, we think of ineffective leadership. And so, but for those who are extremely arrogant, a little humility cannot hurt, obviously can help. Well, I mean, anybody can be cocky in a given situation because they've done something exceptional, and they sort of want other people to know that. And that's often we determine as every day. That's cockiness, but that's not arrogance. Because again, arrogance is consistent. Arrogance is not when you do it one time and you never do it again. Cockiness can be because of something you've done that's special and you want everybody to know about. But arrogance is consistent across time, consistent across people.